Hello and welcome to Jordan Recommends. Today we're going back to the past, back to a simpler time, the 90s. When you think of the Disney afternoon, what do you usually think of? DuckTales? Darkwing Duck? Maybe Tailspin or Chip and Dale? Well, the show I'm talking about today is none of those shows. This show usually tends to be overlooked. A lot of people don't even know it exists, even though they were big fans of the Disney afternoon. And there's other people who just dismiss it as maybe because they probably saw it as a cheap cash grab, or didn't like the direct-to-video movie which preceded the show and served as its pilot. The show I'm talking about today is Aladdin, the animated series. When I was younger, I actually did watch the Aladdin animated series. But like a lot of things, over time I grew up and forgot about it, and my interest changed. I watched less and less cartoons, and started viewing animation as a thing for children. But then I got a huge wake-up call when I discovered that animation wasn't just for kids, and that a lot of shows that I watched when I was younger were actually better than I remember, and shows that I missed the first time I got to see, and I found out just what I was missing. And Aladdin was one of those shows that I didn't really remember very much, and when I decided to watch it, I wasn't quite sure how much I'd like it, because there were some shows that I watched when I was a kid, or missed the first time, that I really liked when I watched later. And there were some shows that I liked a lot but the shows just didn't age very well. So now that the introduction's out of the way, let's get down to it. The Aladdin animated series is one of the few shows that actually takes place in the continuity of the films that it's based off of. Because a lot of shows that are based off movies tend to contradict the source material and usually just end up being set in an alternate continuity. But for this show, there aren't really very many continuity issues. There's only one, maybe two continuity issues, but they're very minor at most. And now it's time for the character roll call. First up is the titular character, Aladdin. Aladdin is pretty much the same as he is in the movie. The quick-thinking, smooth-talking, thinks with his heart and always does the right thing type of character. Even though there are episodes when Aladdin does act out of character. And that usually happens when a supporting character is placed in the main character role, or a one-shot character or characters are placed in the main role. And then Aladdin can come off as a huge jerk a lot of the time, and he won't think things through like he usually would, and tends to jump to conclusions, and sometimes he'll try to do things himself without asking for help when he needs it. And then there's Jasmine, which is probably Jasmine's portrayal in the TV show is quite a bit different than how she's portrayed in the movie or its sequel, which was also the pilot for the TV show. In the TV show, they made Jasmine a girl of action. And for those of you who don't know, a girl of action is a female character in a main or supporting role who is just as capable as the male characters, but still keeps her femininity. And there are quite a few episodes where in the episodes where Jasmine was the main character, I didn't think I'd like those episodes, but actually a surprise to actually like them quite a bit. Jasmine is a strong character who can do things herself, but also isn't afraid to ask for help. She's smart, and rarely, if ever, jumps to conclusions. She is often the voice of reason for the group. Plus, she can kick butt. And then next up is the Genie. The Genie, he's kind of like the Deus Ex Machina of the group. and the comic relief. A lot of the time a lot of the time it's his magical abilities that end up saving the day. The genie slapstick routine is hit or miss. Most of the comedy from the genie comes from him transforming into different people or into inanimate objects. Sometimes they're funny, sometimes they're mildly humorous, and other times completely fall flat. And also, one of the minor continuity issues with this show is that he has the bracelets. Even though in the show he is a free genie, but he still has the bracelets anyways, which can be a bit confusing. Next up is Abu. Abu is pretty much just like how he is in the movie. Yeah, there's not really much to say about Abu. His obsession with stealing stuff, often, a lot of the time, is what kicks off a plot for an episode. Or attempt at stealing something. And then now we come to Iago. I thought Iago was going to be pretty annoying, but actually Iago has most of the best lines in the show, and he actually isn't that annoying. Iago's the type of character you know you shouldn't like because he's a bad role model, but he has a charm that you just can't help liking. And then now we get to some of the supporting characters, like the Sultan. He doesn't have a lot of screen time. Most of his appearances are just cameos, but there are a few episodes where he gets a bigger role. Like in the one episode where Aladdin is absent and the city is under attack, so the Sultan finds a magical suit of armor and ends up defending the city, and when the armor possesses him, he ends up having the strength to overcome it. A few other episodes where the Sultan shows that even though he's getting up there in age, he still has some moves. Like in the one episode when Jasmine gets kidnapped by an all-female warrior culture that want Jasmine to join their ranks. It's the Sultan that avoids an international incident and is able to get Jasmine back, while the other characters were treating him like he was too old to help out. And then we come to Razul, who's pretty much the same as he is in the movie, aside from a couple episodes when he and Aladdin are forced to work together. And then now I'll be talking about Aladdin's main 4 villains. The first up is the villain we see most often during the first half of the series, and that would be Abismal, who's that oafish, bumbling villain who probably wouldn't succeed at anything if it wasn't for his right-hand man, Faroud, who's the smart one and often comes up with the plans and is the main reason why a lot of them come close to succeeding. And then next up, we have Mechanicles, who is a Greek inventor who's a germophobic and is pretty much crazy. And most of his schemes involve him trying to kill Aladdin and friends so that he can pretty much remake the world the way he sees fit. And then we have Mirage, and who has the head of a cat and the body of a human. Most of her plans revolve around trying to mess with Aladdin in some way, trying to break him down, making him suffer, because it would be too easy for her just to kill him. And she loves chaos and misery. And then now we come to Mosenrath, who's a sorcerer who's oftentimes tries to capture the genie so that he can use the genie's power to help him take over the world and or destroy Aladdin and friends, or just trying to find some type of magical site or artifact that he can use to boost his power. And Mosenrath, he's kind of like Aladdin's doppelganger in a way. He also has a flying eel that serves as his sidekick, called Xerxes. Like most Disney afternoon shows, Aladdin, the animated series, has a pretty awesome theme song, and even though the theme is pretty much a reworked version of Arabian Night, it's still pretty awesome to listen to, and insanely catchy. The animation is good for TV quality. It's not great. There are inconsistencies every now and then. Sometimes characters will go off model, but for the most part, it's pretty good. And like a lot of Disney TV shows, there's a lot of references to other Disney franchises. There's one episode where they reference Little Mermaid. There's another one where they reference Darkwing Duck, and even where they pretty much reenact a scene from Tailspin, which is quite hilarious. And there's probably more that I just missed. There are a few episodes floating around on VHS. It's a shame the show never got a DVD or Blu-ray release because, just like a lot of other Disney shows, it should have gotten one. This is a good show worth checking out. If you're a fan of action-adventure shows, or if you're just an Aladdin fan in general, and if you like shows with a linear continuity where characters from one episode will come back and be helpful later. Which is one of the things that surprised me about the show is how tight the continuity is between episode to episode. Which you don't see very often in mid-90s TV shows. This has been Jordan Recommends. Till next time, see ya.